Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Yep, we are live on YouTube, so we're good there. The notif should have gone out for all the fans out there. Should we put this in the Discord? Or do you think we can
Yeah,
just
I'll put
push
it in
through?
Discord.
All right, cool. See if anyone joins here.
Oh, I'm gassy tonight.
We are live.
Okay.
All right. I think we have one viewer, perhaps, unless it's you. I think it's you.
It's definitely me.
All right, cool. All right, cool. Um, Solid. We'll go ahead and clap in, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Three, two, one. Cool.
Okay.
All right, man. Go ahead and kick it off.
Cool. You ready? You
hmm
activated?
I'm
All right.
activated.
Are you watching chat too? Just in case.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good.
Nice. All right. You feel that energy? All
Yeah.
right. All right. Here we go. Hey everyone, it's Matt,
And this is Lucas,
and this is Thanks for Playing.
the podcast where we break down the most iconic video games the world has to offer.
Oh, oh, ah.
I'm surprised you didn't hit. Oh, there's the scared
Yeah.
yelp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that like 3 times leading up to this, and I don't want to overkill it too much, but that's right, the Yelp, because I'm scared. And why am I scared, Lucas?
You were scared because Halloween is this weekend.
Yes, when this is yes, Halloween is actually even if Halloween is this upcoming weekend, and I don't know about you, but I'm a little nervous I'm gonna get spooked.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to tell the audience what you're doing for Halloween weekend?
I will be up in the Bay Area for Halloween weekend. I will be attending Outside Lands and then hanging out with some friends in the city. So, very excited for that. I hope it's a safe event. I hope there's not too much spookiness going on. I scare easy. You know, if there's any Slenderman cosplay, I will cry.
Yeah, there will be people in Halloween costumes for
Oh,
sure,
for
right?
sure. Yeah. All
Yeah.
my friends that I'm going with, we got onesies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, skeleton onesies. That's the
Oh,
best.
yeah.
Apparently, that's the best we could come up with.
You don't sound like you're a big fan of it.
No, not really. It's fine. Um, I was gonna say none of them listen to this, but I think Connor listens. So actually, well, Connor, you didn't pick the onesies, so it's fine. They're nice onesies. It's very soft.
Oh,
I'm
you already
actually,
put it on
yeah,
already?
I naturally.
Okay.
I'm excited to lounge in it. Um, Post Halloween, just cause. So it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
What do you got going for Halloween this year, my guy?
Well, nothing planned formally. I'm actually shooting a short film with producer Sam on Saturday and Sunday, which is Halloween weekend, the 30th and the 31st. So we'll kind of see, if there's any time Halloween night to go do something, maybe go do something. I have actually started jumping into some scary movies. I was watching Cabin in the Woods the other night. And
I
then
don't know if that counts.
that's a scary movie. There's like straight up like pretty gory deaths in it, actually.
Gore's not scary though. Gore's just like, oh shit, there's some gore.
It's scary. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, not to spoil the ending, but like the ending is not. The ending is a scary ending. I know it's undercut with a little bit of comedy, but it's for sure a horror movie. It's just a horror comedy. How about
Yeah,
that?
that's
Yeah.
palpable.
And then I was watching Phantasm last night, 1979. Like kind of horror movie. Yeah. I watched it a lot. Producer Sam will remember. I mean, we watched it a lot growing up, and it was always kind of a freaky movie. And I think for a while it was always on like top list for horror movies. And it's going back and watching it now. It's pretty corny in a lot of ways, but kind of genuinely scary in some ways. I was watching it actually before we started recording here. Um, so yeah, just kind of getting in the spooky mood a little bit. Not sure if I'll really be able to just participate so much in the Halloween festivities, but I certainly hope so.
Yes. Well, any when can the people expect a trailer for this short film, or perhaps a release date? You know.
Oh man, no release date yet. I don't know if I could. I don't know if producer Sam wants me talking about it so much, but the working title right now is called Nights. I'm starring in it, so that's very exciting. So hopefully the fans will be able to get to see it in the next few months. Editing usually takes a very long time, so we're going to be shooting over the next 2 weekends and then getting into the editing room over winter. So we'll see how things go.
I'm very excited. I've never seen you like really act, and I know you did your previous short film with him, but have like proper dialogue and stuff. So I am very excited to.
Yeah.
It may shape the future of this podcast.
It's been going, yeah. I mean, I hope I do well too. Obviously, there's
I think you're
like,
gonna win.
yeah. I hope I win. And
I hope you win.
there's always gonna be a certain level of nerves and stuff like that. But there's been a lot of rehearsal, a lot of prep, and I think a lot of things come down to like grinding things out, practicing,
Yeah,
getting better, and things like
yeah,
that. So, been doing plenty of that for sure.
yeah. It's gonna be fun. But all right, everyone. While this is occasionally a podcast that stands various movies, it may surprise you all to know we are not a movie podcast. We are a gaming podcast. And that's why, everyone, today we are finally blending the genres. Today, we are talking about the number one horror movie simulator, Until Dawn. Dun, dun, dun. Now,
That's right.
before we go into this any further, though, I would like to do a little self promo for the fans. As always, everyone, leave a review if you haven't already. Apple Podcast. Um, who's more likely to play Spider-Man in a movie, me or Lucas? Let us know. Who's gonna die first
Good
in a
debate.
horror movie? Let us know. Maybe start your own podcast about that topic. I don't know. Leave a follow on Spotify or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Helps us grow. And hey, shoot us an email. Thanks for playing pod@gmail.com. Most recently, we got an email from a very exciting fan offering to grow our Instagram for a fee, which was very much clearly legit. So, um,
Love those.
love those. And shame on you if you buy Instagram followers. Let's be honest here, right? That's what I say. Um,
A little quick dig at some people, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
Seem like it.
But that aside, shoot us an email, thanksforlinkpod@gmail.com. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, TFP Podcast. That's TFP Podcast with an S at the end. Come and hang out, join our Discord. Links on our link tree at those social handles, as well as on our website. Thanks for playing.live. All right, everyone. Lucas, Until Dawn.
That's right.
This was a
That's
fun
right.
one for you and me. It really was.
Yeah, it was. 2015 interactive horror game developed by Supermassive Games, starring Remy Malek before he's really taken off into sort of this new level of stardom that he's in, as like a bona fide, great actor.
He's incredible.
Yeah. Hayden Panettiere. I mean, he's always been great, but I think the Bohemian Rhapsody role really took him to the next level, as far as like people recognizing that. Hayden
I mean, he
Panettiere
was in some big things before that, too. He was in Mr. Robot.
was Mr. Robot
Night at the
before this.
Museum 2.
Oh my God, yeah, he played
Um,
Ramses, right?
Yeah, he was in. He starred in The Pacific, which is a HBO war show on
Was
Little
Mr.
Kids.
Robot before? What year was Mr. Robot? Because this came out in 2015. I'm pretty sure Mr. Robot was after this was released. If I'm not
Mr.
mistaken.
Robot was started
20
in 2015 as well, actually.
Okay, so that means he was probably working on both projects at the same time. So I know Mr. Robot is considered to be a huge breakout role for him as well, because I mean, playing in Night at the Museum is not like the same thing as having your own critically acclaimed show. But Remy Malek nonetheless is in this game, and I think he shines through very, very well, as spoiler alert, as always, really great villain. And Hayden Panettiere,
Well, not even necessarily a villain, right? I mean, in this game he is a villain, but he He's very good at playing the disturbed character. Like there's like mentally ill.
It's his
Literally,
eyes.
it's his eye. It is his eyes. Yeah, let's just say it right there.
Yeah,
He's got the
really.
bug eyes.
He this also has Hayden Panettiere from Heroes,
Yes.
most notably, very very famous role in a very big TV show that kind of is a generation later at this point. But I grew up watching Heroes, love Hayden Panettiere, and she pretty much killed this role too. Um, 9 out of 10 by Game Informer for this game. 7.5 from IGN. 6.5 on Polygon. It's the lowest score I saw. And on Metacritic, 79 out of 100.
What did you
So
say IGN gave it?
a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh.
Yeah, Game Informer gave it the highest rating I saw of a 9. There could have been a 9.5 thrown in there from another one, but it actually ranges quite a bit because Polygon gave this one a 6.5. And the Metacritic score overall turned into 79 out of 100. So, kind of a hot or cold game as far as ratings go.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think, and I think I understand why, because I definitely have a lot to say about the game from a few different perspectives. Certainly enjoyed the game quite a bit, especially our gaming experience, which we're going to get into. This game was really fun to play through in the way that we played through it, for sure. It was the best October spooky Halloween experience I've had so far, and Halloween is this weekend. So for all of October, this one took the cake for sure.
Yes, and before we go any further into it, I would like to give everyone just a brief explanation of the game and what's all is going on in the story here. As always, I do my best to keep these synopses generally spoiler light. However, as always, spodcast, what the hell? In this podcast, spoilers will always ensue at one point or another. So, just something to be mindful of going forward in this episode. So, without further ado, until dawn. So, during a party at the family lodge on Blackwood Mountain, a cruel prank is played on Hannah Washington that makes her run away into the woods. Her twin sister Beth follows her, but the two are seemingly pursued by a man wielding a flamethrower. In the end, the twin sisters fall off a cliff's edge. No bodies are found, and the sisters are declared missing. 1 year later, Hannah and Beth's brother Josh invite the friend group from the last party, consisting of Sam, Chris, who will for the rest of this podcast be referred to strictly as Sicko Mode, Ashley, Emily, Matt, Mike, and Jessica to come and party again. Because Josh just wants to try and have fun and move on, guys. Come on. It's just my sisters, whatever. Uh,
Such a great.
Mysterious and horrific events start occurring to the group. The huntings start, and they must explore the mountain and the lodge to uncover the secret of what is happening and to save themselves before help arrives at dawn.
All right, that was a great spoiler-free synopsis for sure. Um, so yeah, total cliche setup right there. I mean, bunch of teenagers going
Literally
into
a
a
cabin
woods.
in the woods, right?
Yeah, yeah, going into a cabin on a mountain. All that fun stuff that sets up for a really good horror story. And the way me and Matt really played this one actually was in person together. Since as you guys who have been following the podcast for a while know, me and Matt are now neighbors, living here in LA, which is really great. And we were actually able to play this one together. So we really treated it like we were watching like a movie or like a TV show. Switched off the controller. Whatever decisions I made were my own. Whatever decisions he made were his own. Made it very clear that I would not influence the decisions he would make. And yeah, some crazy stuff happened as a result, for sure.
Very much, very much. Yeah, this game came out, 2015, right? And then developed by Supermassive and published by Sony. Supermassive has gone on to do quite a few more of these, the style of game, right? They've
They certainly
done,
have a niche, for
they
sure.
do the most notably. Well, they released both sequels and prequels to this game, I believe, on PlayStation VR, which is very interesting. And then most recently, they've been releasing. I'm not really sure like how this works if it's all one like series or separate games in like
It's
its own
an it's an
universe.
it's an
Anthology
anthology.
series, yeah.
Yeah.
So they've been releasing the Dark Pictures anthology series. They've had 3 released so far, and they just recently released Little Nightmares 2, which I haven't played Little Nightmares 2, but I did play the first one, and I really liked it. It's
I
pretty
didn't know
good.
that. I didn't know you played that. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I played that one in my early streaming days. Yeah, back
Nice.
in 2018, 2019, streamed
Back
that one.
when
Yeah,
when the streaming career was going super strong.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was the Yu-Gi-Oh streamer for a while, but that's a podcast for another day. Shout out to Katie who just joined the Discord. Welcome, welcome to the party.
Katie.
Find us on nextplane.live. All right, first impressions. Um, I'll kick this one off. I got to be honest, man. It just feels like a teen horror movie, and that's fucking awesome, right? It's
Uh-huh.
so fun. Everything about this just screams stereotypical horror when we think of the genre, right? Um, Silly teenagers that are being very arrogant about a dangerous situation. Um, you know, deserted, isolated, snowy, winter, dark, nighttime, mines. Everything about that just screams stereotypical like teen horror slasher movie. And what I
Totally.
love is as you play the game and as it goes on, it leans into that at every way possible. It doesn't at any point, in my opinion, at least, it doesn't in any way try and be something smarter than what it is. I don't really feel like there's any hidden meaning. There's no comments. There's no commentary on capitalism or socialism here, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's just a
totally.
fun. It's just a fun horror game
Yeah.
that is a very clearly heavily inspired by like teen horror movies, slasher movies, and things of that nature. And it's so good, so good.
I don't think I like the story as much as you do.
That's
But I,
okay.
I agree
We
with you
talk
on
it
a lot
out.
of what you're saying. Yeah. So my initial thoughts are yes, absolutely, total cliched horror story and everything. That I think is has a really great first half and a really a second half that falls a little bit flat. Is like my overall analysis. And maybe it's that's the way slashers kind of go. It's like the first character death when and to be clear, not all the characters have to die. If it's your first playthrough, inevitably characters will just die. The first character death was like jaw dropping with Josh and the buzzsaw and everything. It was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Then at a certain point near the end, when characters kind of just started dropping like flies, it kind of, I know every playthrough is really unique in this game, but the way our story played out, some of the big story beats, it was kind of like, okay, well, that was lame. Some of the deaths just didn't hit as hard as certain other deaths, I guess is what it comes down to. And I don't know if that's necessarily story or pacing or whatever, but I mean, it certainly that second half just wasn't as strong, in my opinion.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because when you and I mean, you and I looked at the flowchart. To be clear for everyone, the basis of this game, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure game, very much in vain to say a Telltale game like the Walking Dead series, or something like Detroit Become
Oxenfree.
Human, Oxenfree, Heavy Rain, all that kind of stuff. I mean, and Lucas, you and I both looked at the kind of not the full like flowchart of things, but we looked
How
at
things could have been
how things could
different.
have played out. And I think something that should be acknowledged with this game too, right, is when you're building a narrative where it is choose your own adventure, and there are so many different ways a character can die, and at so many different points in a game, I mean, so many of these characters died early where they could have feasibly reached the end of the game, right? I think it becomes difficult to build out the story beats of the narrative, right? Because
Yeah.
or at least to make the story beats as meaningful. Because I mean, for example, maybe at point C, if we had player A alive, that maybe would have been a lot more impactful instead of only having player X, Y, and Z alive, right? So I think that's something that has to be taken into account with this game. And I mean, honestly, it's a fault of it. I think. I mean, I think
It's an extremely hard challenge
it's
to
a
solve.
challenge, and I think you and I like to try and hold games to high standards, so we'd like to think they could overcome the challenge. But I think it's something that, with this genre overall, it's always going to be a struggle, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on the whole. Like, we played this game in 3 sessions. They were like 2 to 3 hour sessions. The first time we picked it up, we were drinking alcohol, playing the game. It had a really interesting premise at the beginning. There's sort of these interludes where you're first person talking to a psychiatrist in these like in a psychiatrist's office during kind of what are basically dream sequences. Really great acting coming off of that character, Dr. Hill. So basically, you'll be playing through the game, making these choices that are possibly leading to the death of another character down the line. There's a lot of heavy character development in the front end, and there's a lot of these psychiatrist dreams at the front too. And the game kind of builds up in this really mysterious way where you're like, oh man, where are they going with all this? What's going to happen? And then like once some twists come around and some reveals happen, and characters just start kind of dropping, it's cool and it's like shock, but it's not as interesting. I think the beginning of the game is like really interesting, sets up a really interesting premise. All that's really cool, but I don't know. It didn't have as strong of a third half or th- last third, I think, and climax. Do
Yeah,
you agree or nah?
I think a lot of that too plays into the fact that by the third of the climax, again, spoilers ensuing, kind of the big mysteries have all been solved, and it's just a
Yeah,
matter of who's gonna live at this point and who's gonna die, which I
but
guess for
have
you and I who were so, I mean, I feel great. I feel like story is obviously a very important thing to you. You can disagree, and I think it becomes less of a story game at that point and more of a a gore fest and seeing who can survive the gore fest.
right, but you start feeling like there were certain things that happened way early on in the game that are leading to an inevitable character death in some sort of way too, which I think is an interesting feeling. It's not a pure negative, but that is something about these games that I want to touch on for sure.
I mean, yeah, but I think depending on how you played the game, if you made good choices, I think the gave you reasonable avenues to avoid that character death, right? I think a perfect
Some,
example. I mean a
some,
perfect example is for Ashley in sicko mode. Sicko mode,
yeah,
call him sicko mode. Um, Sicko mode, mine and Lucas's favorite character, was killed by like one of these when a Wendigo, which is like one of these demon things chasing them throughout the game. And what we later found out was that no matter what happened, Sicko mode was going to die because we made I made
Matt made.
I made a poor choice earlier in the game that would have resulted in another character, his love interest Ashley, just letting me die no matter what.
But you don't know if that was a poor choice in that moment. That's my point. You
Well,
just
that's the
made a
reason
choice.
of these games, right? Though I mean, that's like the whole butterfly effect thing
But you
of
just
life.
made it. You just made a choice. You know what I mean? And like it might have been the right choice at the time. It's probably you don't know if it is or is not. You're just seeing a consequence of it play out. But we didn't even get to see the consequence of you making that choice because you died before you got to the consequence of that choice. So it falls that choice, that setup ends up falling flat for me. That's the way I feel about Sicko Mode's death. Is that he didn't even end up you didn't even the payoff didn't happen because the quick time event because he got killed by a Wendigo.
I see what you're saying, and I mean that's just going to be a part of these games, right? I mean,
Yeah, I know, and that's if I mean the only way that we knew that the payoff would have happened is because we looked it up. Is because like I think part of what makes these games fun is to follow along with those flowcharts online or to look up endings. Like I spent half the time doing the research on this pod looking up endings, and that was fun. But like it's not part of my experience of the game necessarily.
yeah, I disagree. I disagree with you because for me that is part of the. I consider that part of my experiences. I love when there's a game with multiple endings where after I beat it, I go and see what else could have happened and just like looking back and seeing, oh, like that's what that choice meant. That's what could. I don't know. That's like with the game like this, that post research that you do into the game is 100% a part of the game.
Really, that's a debatable
It's
topic. I think.
I think it's fun. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure how to even. I think it's a personal thing, honestly. I
Yeah.
I get because I know. I mean, because I mean, you and I just don't have the time to go and replay these games, right, all the way through. And a lot of people don't as well in general, or they have other games they want to play. So I think it's totally reasonable to do that instead of going through and replaying the game and to still get that gratification and just that knowledge of oh that's what could have happened, right? Um, yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I
yeah,
land on that.
I know. It's not really. I mean, I think you and I both view the choice thing a little bit differently. I mean, my issue with it is that you make choices that possibly have a payoff, but because there's choices before a potential payoff, the payoff may not even you may not even see the payoff. That's like kind of
I mean that's life
the
though, right?
no, well, it's like it's not that. It's just it's more like this story. I mean, life doesn't have a payoff,
I
but
th-
like
so what
the
you're upset is that because you died, you didn't get to see the payoff of your choice, right?
Exactly. So what was the point of making that choice A? So you make choice A, which leads to choice B, which leads to choice C,
So
but none of that matters because you missed a quick time
you're
sequence and you died.
asking for less agency in a game.
I'm not asking for less agency in a game.
No, I
No,
think you are.
it's not that's
I
not
think
I'm not asking for less agency in the game. I'm asking for a game. I'm asking for someone to set something up and make it have a payoff, right? But you can't do that in a game like this. That's the point I'm making. You cannot guarantee that kind of thing in a game where the player is choosing their own adventure and creating their own story, essentially, which is what's happening here. And agency is not the same thing as controlling a story, right? Like you can have agency in a number of different ways in a video game. But with this, you're controlling the literal beats of the story and interrupting payoffs based on choices. That is my point. There's no, I mean, we just view it differently. There's no agreeing on this. It's just the way it is.
fuck.
Yeah. No, I mean, I loved Oxenfree, right? It's the same kind of game. It's like you make choices and like some have a payoff. I think in Oxenfree, it's a little more you see the payoffs a little bit better, I think, and it's a shorter game and it kind of is easier to play through and it makes you want to play through it because there's other elements to that game. But with this one, it's like, okay, am I going to play through again and like just watch him die the other way because he could have died in another 4 ways before he got shot in the face. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's there's definitely a sliding scale for the effectiveness of a choose your own adventure game, and I haven't played a ton of these kinds of games, but we did play Oxenfree for a Halloween game last year, and I think
Nice.
it did do a better job of doing a choose your own adventure narrative over this. And I know that you're going to agree with that.
I mean, yeah, I won't. I love
Yeah.
Oxenfree. That's one of my favorite games. Yeah, that was a
Yeah. So
cheap shot.
no, no, but there's a sliding. My point is there's a sliding scale,
Yeah.
and I think that it's not a matter of just pure agency or not, or things paying off or not. I think that you can strike that balance. You can solve that challenge if you're really condensing your game. If you're doing what Oxenfree does, where there's like key choke points in the story that have to happen, where certain characters have to appear, and there's also the story itself of Oxenfree, which creates a need to go back or really like a demand for the player to have to go back and play it where this doesn't really have that element.
Well, Oxenfree, I think that's a little unfair. Well, I don't know if that is unfair or not. Oxenfree is amazing because replaying the game is
It's tied to
inherently
your first
it
playthrough.
it's not even just that it's tied. Like it's I mean it is tied, but like the game's narrative doesn't actually end after the first playthrough is the thing.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
game is designed by intention for a second playthrough.
yeah. Exactly,
Which is a
exactly
very
my point.
unique thing in games, I
Hmm.
think. Like it's a
That's
new
right.
game plus mode, but it's not just like, oh, you have this unlocked already or something. It's like
Right.
very clearly builds on the narrative of the first playthrough. But that's a topic for another day whenever Oxenfree 2 comes out. Um,
All right.
let's move into game design. We could argue about this
Okay.
for another
We
hour.
could. We could actually. You know, what, I'll invite the people of the Discord to, give us your thoughts really about what you think. I mean, is looking up different endings or different pathways that your character have taken, is that part of your experience with playing the game? Let us know in the Discord.
Please do.
Do you feel like these kind of games where you choose your own adventure, do payoffs not pay off? Do you care? Do you not care? Let us know. All right, moving into game design. Uh, I'll go first. There's a few subtle things with the game design that I really appreciate. This game rewards exploration. That's like a big oversight, I think. And the more
Hmm.
I thought about it, it really rewards exploration because if you go down a pathway or a hallway that is not the primary path, then you'll find a clue. You'll find a totem. More will get revealed to you. And you get to watch like a little bit of a mini movie as well. The more clues you get, the more totems you unlock. You kind of get this cool montage of the backstory of why these Wendigos are around, who these monsters are, who's killing all your friends. So that was really cool. Um, it rewards the player for going an extra mile. Love that. Video games should always do that. And clues are essential to unraveling the backstory of the game. So I appreciate the designers. Like, I feel like you can take only the primary path through and just rush through and basically not know anything about the backstory and
Yeah.
not really. I mean, I'm sure that the creepy homeless guy is going to tell you what the Wendigos are and who the monsters are, but you're probably not going to figure out a lot of things, especially with how Hannah and Beth actually died and things like that. Spoiler alert. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think especially in a game like this where typically in games like this, whether it's oxen free, um, Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, what have you. Although Oxenfree does have this in its own ways, but typically with these kind of like narrative-driven games, there's not a lot of reward for straying off the path. I mean that's just kind of the nature of linear games in general, right? They're linear by nature.
Yeah.
Um, so they don't typically put a lot of focus on that. But the game Until Dawn does a very good job of giving you a reason to want to stray off that path and to look for these totems because you get like this really cool, interesting movie that gives you insight into the story and what's actually happening as you play, and then you also get interesting insights into potential player deaths because you find these things called totems, which basically show you possible futures of the game, like what could
Right.
potentially happen. Um, which is it's a good way to encourage exploration. But I mean, yeah, I mean the game itself, right? It's just a combination of quick time events, walking, and
Lots of walking.
exploration,
Yeah.
right?
And their exploration is like exploration light. I mean, it's just going down
Yeah,
a different path for like a minute.
a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's fun. The quick time events are done really, really well. I think actually, I know you and I were both struggling. I mean, I killed at least two characters because I fucked up quick time events.
They were tense.
They were
They were
tense
really
and they were
tense.
difficult, and they had one in particular that I loved where I don't know if this counts as a quick time event, but where like if one of the Wendigos, which and to clarify for everyone, the Wendigos are like basically people infected by a curse that once they turn into cannibals, then they turn into like these feral Wendigo creatures.
Hmm.
Kind of look like the um, Remus Lupin as a werewolf from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban,
I
if you
was
will.
I was gonna say they look like the things from I Am Legend. They look like the zombies
No,
from
they're way
those.
skinnier and way more
Well, they're
stretched.
yeah, but
They look way more animalistic.
yeah, but they're bald and
They're bald, yeah.
their skin is all yeah, and their skin is gray. Their skin is gray. They're come on.
I don't know, Chief.
Let us know, chat in the Discord, what you think. I Am Legend, Wendigos, who knows?
I mean, I'm so off. I don't even know what I was talking about. There's a quick time event where if you're being hunted by a Wendigo or something else for that matter, you this game is played on PlayStation 4. It's a PS4 exclusive, and the PlayStation controller has a function in it where it has like some motion detection, and in these moments where you're getting hunted and you're hiding, it has this specific like don't move action where if the controller moves just an inch too much, and it's pretty fucking sensitive
It
actually if you
is.
move, you'll get discovered during that quick time event. And I had one where at the end of
Oh
the
my
game
God. That
where
was
that
rough.
came up, and I knew if I was holding it, I'd fuck it up because we had fucked up several up to that point. I think,
Yeah.
which up thankfully up to the point none with any severe consequences. But this was like the final act, and we were being hunted by a Wendigo, and they like again spoilers. The one of the main ways they see is not they don't necessarily see you, but they sense motion. So right when the quick time event came up, I got scared and I tried to like throw the controller down, but it was too late.
Yeah. And then
And
the Wendigo saw him, killed his character. That was sad.
RIP.
Yeah.
RIP. But
Yeah.
it's fun and they do it really well, right? And I also liked the game really leaned into, and this will be something that'll be fun once you and I finally manage to acquire PS5s. Is PlayStation does a lot with their controller. Where I mean, like I know the newest PlayStation controller has haptic feedback, and in this specific example, had like the motion for the don't move quick time events as well as even just like swiping through a book, they had you like swipe on the controller on their touchpad, which
That was
I mean,
cool.
it's not like a crazy feature, but it's just like a fun little extra thing they add, which I personally enjoy.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, the QuickTime events were really well done. I thought they were tense. They weren't like too demanding or too difficult, but you had to be on a high alert when you were doing any sort of QuickTime event, which was cool. And yeah, just the ways they took advantage of some things on the controller were really cool. And I really like those. I mean, as far as game design, the big thing with the game design is the choices that you make at certain moments.
I
And
mean,
I,
they throw in your face the butterfly effect, right?
yeah, they really do, which
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I really like that necessarily. I feel like it would have been kind of cool if it wasn't there at all. Um, I'm not sure what it adds, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and I think here's what else I think. Them adding the butterfly effect the way they did, because to be clear, whenever you make a massive choice during the game, there's literally like a butterfly thing that floats up in the upper right hand or upper left hand corner of your screen. I think that is it adds stress to the latter parts of the game because you're looking to see where that choice pays off, that specific choice. And I think because it had that in this game, I that contributed to how you feel about the choices being paid off in this game.
It also explicitly calls out a choice you made as mattering,
Yeah.
but it's unclear what choices. Again, it's that setup payoff thing. Some of those choices just don't, like, you get the butterfly effect on a certain choice that you make, but then that choice possibly doesn't matter
Yeah.
because you fail a quick time event and somebody just dies. So I don't know. It's sort of like it just shouldn't be there at all just to not clue you in. It should be more of a gut feeling type thing. I know that some games do it a little bit differently. I know you were telling me about like the Telltale games will kind of like clue you in, not such a direct way.
Yeah, let's say, oh, Kenny will remember that if you say
Yeah,
something to a certain character.
that's kind of a little bit more like okay, like a little bit less than like a butterfly graphic on a screen and a big ding.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then even in the beginning of the game too, I mean, there's a whole dialogue conversation between Sicko Mode and Hayden Pettinari's character where they're just like, "Bro, butterfly effect, fuck."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think maybe that and like one more like joke about it later on in the game would have been enough to make you pay attention to your choices, rather than having a visible like watermarked butterfly on the
Right,
screen. Yeah.
right. All right. Well, I do have one thing I want to bring up here, which is a quote from a review on the character deaths. And this, I think, we'll see if you agree with this one, but this is Philip Collar or Philip Collar at Polygon. He's the one that gave this game the 6.5 out of 10, the lowest score I saw on their aggregate score. Philip wrote specifically about the character deaths, and I'm going to read his quote here. It
Okay.
says, "My problem then is that some of the death conditions in Until Dawn felt completely arbitrary. That is not to say that I played perfectly. At least two of the deaths in the game legitimately came from poor choices on my part. From responding thoughtlessly during an action sequence, and from failing to fully search an area and find an important piece of information hidden there. But the other two deaths, they were from failing QuickTime events. Lightning fast on-screen button flashes. These are Until Dawn's shortcut for action sequences in a game designed mostly for storytelling. Whenever you get into a chase or a fight, you'll need to tap buttons within seconds of them appearing on the screen. Those aren't the worst part, though. The game employs a special challenge during the action sequences where, if your character is hiding, you need to hold the controller completely still for a set amount of time." So he's referring to the demand of those quick time sequences that actually occur. I know they weren't super hard for us. I think we may have quicker reaction time. I know there's gamers that have quicker reaction time than us, but as far as gamers go or casual gamers, whatever, we probably have pretty decent reaction time. And like
Yeah.
we almost failed at some of those quick time events, and we did fail some of those quick time events. And I can imagine if you just had very slow reaction time as a gamer, you're not really playing any games that require those. The game probably could have been pretty frustrating for you if it just turned into a character that's dying because you missed this. But that's the way it goes. It's kind of it's kind of this game's not for everybody kind of conversation you start having. Because if you're gonna fail quick time, like there was basically every character had a way to die from a quick time event of like not pushing triangle at the correct time.
Well, all right, but maybe some of those choices led to a quick time event, right? For example, Lucas coming out and axing the moose that are surrounding us led
Yeah,
to one of our characters being falling off a cliff.
but I did survive that quick time
He
event.
did survive that quick
Yeah,
time event.
but okay, I'll give an example though, something that is very very clear. So with what just the
Just laughing about the moose
that
thing
was good. That was a
or
good
the elk,
moment.
whatever they were.
So with Jessica, right? In the final sequence when you're escaping from the mines with Jessica, I believe that I lucked into her surviving. Because all of the choices for her are run, hide, run, hide. You get like 3 or 4 run, hide choices, and then a couple of don't move checks. Okay, the don't move checks completely like up to me to pass those. But the run versus hide, those are just 50/50s, right? Like
I will
she
give you
lived,
that though. That's
she
totally
lived.
arbitrary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally arbitrary. And like, I mean, if she died there, I just wouldn't have cared. I just would have been like, okay, well, I didn't even care that she lived. I was just like, okay, I just got lucky on all these choices. It wasn't clear what the right choice was. And you only have like 3 seconds to make the choices, so it's not like you can think through them. The Ashley death is not complete bullshit, but it's a little bit bullshit. You are given one clue that the Wendigos imitate their prey, and then you hear your friend's voice, you check under a hatch, then just get your head ripped off. So
By
it's
a
like,
Wendigo, yeah.
okay, I should have known that, but god damn it. It's still like, fuck. It was still like a you go left, you die, you go right, you live. And it wasn't a quick time thing, it was just knowing a piece of knowledge. That one's okay. That one's just I, I'm just mad that I died from that one. That one made me mad. But the Jess one is for sure just 50-50s, like three 50-50 choices in a row, and then a don't
I
move
mean,
check.
there's a few others like that in there too, I think, and yeah, it is a little bit of a bummer when a game doesn't have a way to make choices or to make result or to make potential outcomes have as meaningful ways to engage them. And I think that's just again kind of what you're saying. Like it's just the nature of this game because it's either that or it's an actual action game and you're fighting the Wendigo, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Which sounds
So
sick too.
which it does sound sick. So it's a very fine line they have to balance, and I think that's kind of probably a complaint with. I think you could probably find across any game that really heavily takes on to quick time events.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, shit, I'll never forget. I was playing just for myself. Actually, I streamed this one back in the day too. Indigo Prophecy, which is like one of the OG quick time choose your adventure games. Um, and there were so many quick time events that I would just like fuck up for no reason. That would like just cause restarts at certain points, or I'd have to restart like a boss battle that was a 5 minute quick time event sequence, and it's just like fuck, man, it was just it got exhausting.
So there is a little bit of like,
It's definitely just a product of the genre, I think.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, I'm just still mad about Ashley's death. Let's just be honest. It
It
is what
just
it-
upset you, fuck.
Well,
Let's
I
talk
think.
about how many character deaths were you responsible for? How many was I responsible for?
Well, are you counting the butterfly effect setups? Or are you just talking about
I'm
in the
talking
moment?
in the moment that we were playing. I think
Okay,
I had two confirmed, but I know for sure. I had sicko mode
Sam and
and
Sam.
I had Sam.
I killed Ashley,
Hmm.
100%, and it's unclear whether I killed Matt. Unclear, right? Right? I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. The only way Matt could have survived. That's the other one that's kind of dumb. Like the only way Matt could have survived is if we gave him. Actually, no, that is your fault. You totally could have saved Matt. You could have.
no.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could have
Didn't he
left
have a
the.
really specific win condition for his survival?
He had two. So there's a sequence in the game, everyone, where Matt and Emily, a couple, are on top of like a radio tower trying to get help. Radio tower gets attacked, falls down, um, and
It
Matt
falls into
has
the
two
mine. It falls
choices.
into the
Falls into
mine.
the mines. Matt has two choices. He can either A, try and help Emily, who's in a worse spot than he is, and Emily's his significant other, or he can B, jump to safety on his own and just kind of say, fuck Emily. I was telling Luke something like, this Emily girl sucks. Just jump to safety. And if you had jumped to safety, you would have been fine.
But Emily
Um,
would have died.
I think she would have had another chance still, from what I remember reading.
Okay.
But the way for him to survive, if you tried to save her, was when you found a flare gun to give that flare gun to him to have him so he could shoot it at the Wendigo.
Oh, okay.
Because she never did anything with that flare gun, if you remember.
Because you missed the flare gun check, if I recall correctly.
No, no, you just grabbed the flare gun and you just kept it to yourself.
No, no, there was a flare gun check, and you're supposed to shoot the Wendigo that's chasing her on the conveyor belt. And because you missed the flare gun check, she got bit. And then
Oh,
that's
word
what,
up. That
which
was
led
me.
to
Yeah, yeah,
another.
yeah.
Actually, okay, hang on. This is kind of interesting talking this out. Uh, Okay. Still, Ashley, complete bullshit. Honestly, I think the only way you can really solve it, I'm not sure if Oxenfree really does this as clearly, but there needs to be something that's not so binary. It shouldn't be like, you die if you pick this choice, you live if you pick this choice. It should be like, there's a clue down this way, and like a quick time event, you get paralyzed if you go this way. You kind of live if you go this way, but you get bit this way. Like, maybe like a little bit more subtlety in it, I know maybe that's just a lot more to think about, but it feels weird when you're given a 50-50 choice, no context. If you go left, you die. If you go right, you live. It just feels very like kind of lame.
Yeah, Honestly, other than Jessica, I don't remember that many that were that egregious of
Ash
50/50s. Or excuse
Ashley.
me, of Jessica. Um, like the run versus the hide thing. But I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll move on. Unless you got anything else for game design.
Uh, no, sir.
All right, art style. This game looks great.
I know. My this game looks so good, in fact, that our PS4 was dropping frames.
Yeah. No, it was
It looks
great.
really good. It looks really good.
I'm actually blown away. I think that Supermassive definitely has a niche with story-driven games, interactive games, and things like that. A lot of horror.
Hmm.
Or if not, all their games are pretty much horror games, right? Or scary in some sort of way.
I think so. Yeah, for the most
So
part.
they got a great niche, but if you go to their website, I was kind of browsing around there for a second. I mean, they're state of the art. I mean, they're using like mocap, they're using like actors, they have high budgets. They're a high quality AAA studio focused on like art style, quality, and graphics and things like that. So this game is a 2015 PS4 game. It looks better than a lot of games that came out later in the same generation. Granted, this doesn't have as much, it's not as fast of a game, but like we're playing through our next game right now. I'm not sure if we can mention it. Should we mention the next game we're playing? This looks
Yeah,
way
why
better.
not?
This looks way better than Control. We're playing Control,
Yeah.
everybody, in our next game, and kind of playing through that right now. Looks way, way better. Way, way better. It's got better load times. It has higher quality graphics. I know they're operating on different engines, but Control came out 4 years after this game in the same generation. So
Both
logically,
intended for that, like the same generation. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. This game it just kind of tells you where Supermassive as a studio is at. They put quality, but this looks better than Cyberpunk from what I played of Cyberpunk
Well,
on
from
mine.
our experiences with Cyberpunk, yeah.
Yeah, which is probably the majority of people's experiences with Cyberpunk. Just want
I
to say
can't wait
that.
to play that game in 5 years when it's complete.
Dude, you know that they actually delayed Cyberpunk for PS5 and Series X already?
No way.
Yeah, so it's not even coming out on the next generation
That's
even
fucking
even soon.
pathetic.
I think it's and then they're doing The Witcher after that. Yeah, they're talking about it on IGN Game Scoop. It is pretty sad,
That's
honestly.
depressing.
Yeah, I think it's like a 2020. Oh man, it's like late 2022 or something like that.
Fuck.
Yep. Anyway, mocap was great. Actors did they really made him come
Mocap was
alive?
really good.
Yeah,
The I want to give a special shout out to. Oh shoot, I have the actor's name here somewhere.
Remy Malik.
Roll yes, Remy. Love that man. The actor that played Doctor Hill, jo- the psychiatrist.
Oh yeah, Swedish actor, I believe.
Yeah, I had his name written down here somewhere.
Yeah, he was one of the most interesting parts of the game for me. Just the character Dr. Hill, and I think that the mocap on him, the acting coming off of him, the voice acting coming out of him was just really, really great. And
Incredible facial expressions, right?
yeah, and I mean, the subtlety that they were able to really capture for facial expressions was really good too. I think so there's the uncanny valley, right? Which is where someone looks too realistic and then but their eyes look dead kind of thing. That's like kind of the problem with some like that's the problem with
Yeah,
Polar
that's Polar
Express,
Express.
Yeah. So like this is like it's so high quality that my brain is just like this is just a movie. This is just real life. You know what I mean? Like I felt like when I played Until Dawn, I truly feel
Peter
like
Stormare.
yeah, Peter Stormare, really good guy, really good actor. Um, Playing Until Dawn, my brain is at the point where it is looking at these graphics and it is basically just saying that this is real life. Especially when you're seeing real actors like Rami Malek. You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is just a movie I'm watching. It's not even like a game. We've officially transcended as far as graphical power to the movie realm. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, I mean the it was so good, and then yeah, you said it all. The mocap was great. The performances were great. The set pieces were really well done. Um, Very creepy. Really set the atmosphere well. The lighting, I really want to give a shout out to. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but I was so impressed with the lighting of this game, more so than I think any game we've played actually on this podcast. The
Alan
lighting
Wake.
was just so good. Well, Alan Wake is like a
The
it's
lighting.
all light. But the lighting was so good in this game. I mean, Alan Wake did actually. They're just not. I jest, but Alan Wake was a good lighting as well. But it looked just really good, and I was just very impressed with how it looked overall. I wish the frames weren't dropping at certain points. That I know it didn't bug you that much, but it bugged me a little bit. But other than
Yeah.
that, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sound design. Voice
Yeah,
acting.
yeah,
Great. Great
yeah.
voice acting. I don't think the music particularly stood out to me in any sort of way. I think the Wendigos were really well sound designed. There was like a lot of like gun noises, mechanical noises, flamethrower noises, and things like that that were all, of course, really solid and good. But the voice acting takes the cake as far as the sound design portion of the game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to give a shout. I don't know the name of the actress, but whatever actress, I'll find it. Whatever actress played
Yeah,
was absolutely incredible. Um, I was so she made me hate Emily's character because she was so good at doing like the typical like rich girl spoiled type
yeah.
type voice,
Yeah, that actress talks about it in. There's a video you could watch on YouTube, which is called just Until Dawn Voice Actors and Behind the Scenes. It's like a 30-minute video I was checking out, kind of the making of Until Dawn. All the voice
Nicole
actors,
Bloom.
yeah, all the voice actors talk on it, including Remy, which is crazy. Just like, I mean, this is a video from 2015, and it's like knowing where Remy Malek's career has gone now. It's like, dang, this guy's like interviewing like behind the scenes for a video game. It's
Yeah.
like pretty crazy.
Oh, I
Uh,
totally forgot that they used like mocap for these guys too. I'm like, why do
yeah,
all these actors look like their characters?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's great. I mean, okay, so we've talked about this before on this podcast with voice acting in video games. It's like you play something like 12 minutes, right? Where you cast really like three top A-list actors, even more A-list than Remy and Hayden and the other guy from Agents of Shield, who's also in Until Dawn. His name is slipping my mind, but it's not the quality of the actor or the profile of the person you're getting to be in your video game. It really comes down to the execution of the team. Like
Yeah.
this, the reason why the voice acting all worked in this game and not 12 minutes is because the team was able to execute on the actors themselves, right? Like they planned well, they recorded lines and the lines fit the acting of the character. Like that's an incredibly hard thing to do, especially after playing 12 minutes. That was one of our biggest critiques. And even Johnny Silverhand in
Yeah.
Cyberpunk, like it feels like Keanu Reeves' delivery doesn't fit the situation that Johnny Silverhand is in,
No. I
probably
mean, you can
because
tell that this is a game. I mean, you can tell that they actually sat down in a room and acted these out, right? It
yeah,
wasn't just them going into recording booths. Like they were there in person, probably together acting these scenes out, and it shows.
exactly. It totally shows. Like, I mean, I don't want voice acting in a video game to go any other way because otherwise you're going to end up with Johnny Silverhand, which is like, let's just pay this guy a fuckload of money, get him to go to a recording studio and record his lines. Who cares how he
Yeah,
delivers them? We'll just
and
figure it out.
use his likeness on the character because he's famous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas this is how you use likeness, right? This is how you use like Remy Malik or Hayden Panettiere. They did so much more with Hayden Panettiere and Remy Malik's likeness than the CD Projekt Red did with Keanu Reeves, and that costs quadruple. It costs way more money to do the Keanu Reeves thing, right? So
yeah,
it comes down to the execution of the studio, and Supermassive did a really good job with this one for sure. And it's harder. It's harder than people think.
it is. Yeah, especially after having played games where it's very clearly not good.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing to get a game where it is done so well.
Yeah, for sure. All right. You got anything else for sound design?
That's all for me, King.
All right. NPC award. Ooh, good one. There honestly you play as every character in the game except for a few. So you can't all those people are not eligible for this award.
It's really only 4 or so.
Yeah, so go
I'm sure we have
first.
the same one.
Yeah. You want to do it on 3?
Sure.
1, 2, 3. Dr. Hill.
Dr. Hill.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
right, cool. Yeah, I mean, come on. He's one
I
of the
mean,
more
you and
interesting
I, the whole
parts.
time we were playing it, we were just raving about it.
Yeah.
His performance, I mean, we already talked about him a lot, is so good. And he does these weird things with his face during like psychiatry sessions that he has with Josh. That's just so. It adds to like the dream-like experience that it's kind of coming off as, and it's just so unsettling. 'Cause
Totally.
it's not how a normal human would act, and it's just so well done. And his
Yeah.
voice acting is so good, and I've never seen such good facial expressions in acting, I don't think.
Yeah, totally, totally. Like great subtlety in that. And I remember even you said you were like, "Is his dialogue off from his animations?" And I'm like, "No, dude. I think that's how he's playing it. It's
Yeah.
like very. I know we're majority of people are only going to hear this, but it's like he's like, go, okay. It's like
Okay.
he kind of like does this thing with his face where he's like not. It's so subtle. It's so good. Yeah, that was great.
It's like he's intentionally making his words not match his mouth. Like he'll say okay, but he'll do it like ventriloquist style, so like his mouth will only move a little bit, and he'll like
Yeah,
tilt his head weirdly at you or something.
yeah, totally. And it's very clearly intentional, which is really
Yeah.
cool. I think he's the most one of the most interesting parts of the game, barring like the literal monsters in the game. He is like the coolest part for me because the fear that he instills as an actor and for his storyline, it kind of goes beyond. It feels very supernatural. It feels like madness. It's very scary. And like every time he showed up on screen, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, let's hear what he
Yeah.
has to say, you know? I actually got really sad that I think that's why I didn't enjoy the final third of the game as much, is because for us, Josh does die in our playthrough. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, we're not going to see the psychiatrist anymore because the psychiatrist turned out to be inside Josh's head.
You
So,
know what sucks?
yeah.
I don't know if we talked about this, but spoilers. The only two outcomes for Josh is he either dies or turns into a
Into a
Wendigo.
Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Is it
know.
Wendigo or Wendigo?
They said
Wendigo. I
They
think
said
Wendigo.
Wendigo in the game,
Yeah.
but I've always read it as Wendigo.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mandela effect.
Mandala effect.
Mandala, excuse me.
No, I'm just kidding.
Apologize.
No, you
Wait. Oh,
man,
fuck.
it's man. Yeah, that was a joke.
That was
It's Mandela effect.
skip it about?
You know, because Nelson Mandela, who died in prison, right?
No.
That's the premise of the Mandela effect.
Did he die in prison?
No, he did not. But
Okay.
there's the Mandela effect is that people think that he did.
Um,
Yeah, but then we all saw Invictus.
he became president. Yeah.
who who was in that? Was that Matt Damon?
Matt Damon. Yeah.
Rugby? Yeah.
Fun fact: I in my freshman year of college, I had a short stint where I was interested in politics, so I interned at a political office.
I forgot
And
about that.
yeah, I interned at a political office, and during the interview, they asked me who my favorite politician was, and up to that point, I really wasn't that well versed in politics, and I wanted to say Richard Nixon because I think he's funny because I'm from
You're
Yorba Linda,
Belinda.
California, and that's where Richard Nixon was born. And I just think he's so funny because he went out with peace signs when he was clearly about to get impeached, but he resigned. So funny. Probably not a great guy, not the point. But I was like, all right, I can't say that. Like that's not the right answer. I cannot justify it. And I had just recently watched Invictus for the first time, so I said Nelson Mandela,
I love that.
and they asked me why, and I think I just
Did you see Invictus?
I was like, I like what he did for his country.
It's a
And
great
I
answer.
got I got the internship. It was great.
Wow, that's great, dude. I
And
know you signed that NDA. You can't really talk about all the stuff you did.
oh yeah.
But I know you were up to some scheming, House of
I
Cards.
was scheming over there
Yeah,
in San Diego County, baby.
yeah, dude, a lot
Yeah.
going on over there.
I'm not trying to say I was involved in the Chargers leaving, but give it about.
Yeah, yep.
All
Talk
right.
talk to the front office over there. See who they
Talk
see
to
who,
the front office.
ask them who their biggest fear is.
Yeah.
Matt Rockaby.
Yeah. All right. Companion piece pick. I'll start. I think most obvious one I wanted to pick was Cabin in the Woods. But we've talked about that so much by itself already. I wanted to go for a different one. And actually, it's not even that obvious. There's so many you could pick for this because it's just like a very stereotypical like slasher movie. But I think Cabin in the Woods would be the most stereotypical one for me. But I went with Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Lucas, I know you haven't seen this film. The whole plot is some like high school, college age. You know the stereotype kids go out
Right.
for go out to like the rural wherever to like a swamp.
Isn't it a
like,
Canadian movie too?
I know I'm not sure. It might be. It's been so long since I've seen it, but um, it's like these kids going out on vacation, and there's just these two hobos living in the area, Tucker and Dale, and then they're just like trying to be friends with these kids, and they just keep accidentally like not killing them themselves, but because the kids get scared, they keep getting themselves accidentally killed. Everyone thinks it's Tucker and Dale, and everyone should watch it. It's a super funny film. Really recommend it.
I've heard really good things about this movie over the years.
Horror satire film, to be clear with everyone.
Yeah, yeah. 2012, 2010 film, actually filmed in Canada and the United States. So
There we go.
my memory was on point. Great choice right there. I'm sure a lot of our audience has seen that movie. I know it was a Netflix darling for a little while, just because when Netflix, like back then when you can stream stuff. I remember Tucker and Dale versus Evil was always on. All right, my companion piece pick is Evil Dead by Sam Raimi. Uh, Really awesome classic horror movie, cabin in the woods style movie. Possibly invented the cabin in the woods trope. Great film debate there, or popularized it at the very least, from my film heads out there listening. Evil Dead is sick as hell. I just think it's balls to the walls horror. It's gory. It's like just insanity. I think everyone should watch it once. Once is probably going to be enough for you. Evil Dead 2 is also really great, of course. But like Evil Dead is such a cult classic. It's so good. I mean, I try to watch it every other year at the very least. I think I saw Evil Dead 2 a couple years ago. I'm probably due for a rewatch, but really, really sick movie.
It's so interesting that he did the Evil Dead and then did the first three Spider-Mans.
I know. And then he did you ever see the movie Drag Me to Hell? That's another Sam Raimi movie.
No, I have not.
That is a really good scary movie for sure. It's also Sam Raimi. So he's a really underrated horror director. It's kind of funny that he went the Spider-Man route. And to be clear, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 are good. Like genuinely good movies. They're pre like Marvel money era, like Disney Marvel era for superhero movies. So it's a little bit different, but I think they're great.
Yeah.
Shout out Sam Raimi.
He's directing the next Doctor Strange movie.
That's pretty sick. That's getting me excited.
I'm really excited for it because that whole thing they're leading into is like just craziness with the multiverse and like what is and isn't real. So I'm really hoping there's just some kind of horror elements in it because
that'd be sick.
I'll never forget that that hospital scene in Spider-Man 2. It freaked me the fuck out in the movie theaters. You know the one I'm talking about with they're trying to amputate Doc Ock's arms.
Oh yeah.
Arms, rather. Yeah.
And then
the me when I was a kid.
And the light thing broke. The thing that prevents the arms from controlling him.
Yeah, the chip inhibitor.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wait, I do want to touch on something though before we move on from companion piece.
Okay.
Until Dawn is Pacific Northwest Corps.
Yeah.
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 So this for
I
those
think
of
it
you
takes
that
place in Canada, doesn't it?
So here's the tricky part. It's Pacific Northwest Corps, but it's actually Pacific Southwest Corps. So because it's a Canadian, like it takes place in Canada and Alberta. And for those of you that have been listening to the pod for a while, we made the discovery in the Alan Wake episode that there is a genre of movies and video games and TV shows that all follow the same conventions. Dark forests, literally cable cars, like are in every one of these kinds of things. There's a cable car in Oxenfree. There's a cable car in Alan Wake. There's a cable car in pretty much it. I'm sure there's one in Life is Strange. I'm calling it. I haven't played Life is Strange, but
I have, but it hits every other trope, so it's fine. We need to do that one for the podcast. That's another fun one.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. I know that's been on our list for a while, but yeah, it was cool kind of going back to the dark forest roots. And it's always fun to kind of experience those tropes over again. Caves, snow, mountains, forests, and things like that. So it was exciting to get another Pacific Northwest Corps video game on the books here.
Yes. And yeah, I can't wait for that to be in the dictionary. And it's just like
I know it's just
by Lucas Luna.
Yeah, thanks for playing.
Love it. Favorite moments. I'll go ahead on this one. I'll be quick. And it wasn't even my favorite moment per se, but it was the one that impacted me the most. And Chris, aka Sicko Mode's death.
Yeah, that's mine too. Wow.
This was one of the characters that died because I fucked up. It was a quick time event where you have to like aim your gun at a Wendigo properly, and there's two choices. You can either shoot the Wendigo or shoot like barrels of fire behind it. And I was acing every quick time event up to this point. And there were a bunch of the same.
Acing it. Yeah.
There's a bunch that were like this before, and I started to bring it to the Wendigo, and I was like, wait, I want to shoot the barrels. So like half a second into this quick time event, after I'd already moved my controller one way, which I know I'm saying half a second, but bear in mind this is like maybe a 1.5 to 2 second event at most.
Hmm.
I try bringing my crosshairs back to the barrels, and it just doesn't get there in time. And sicko mode
Got
gets
his head ripped
got his
off.
head yeeted off.
Yeah, dude, that was insane.
And I remember I was just like, the rest of that night, I was just like, Lucas,
Dude,
I don't feel good.
I like that character death because that was the first like actual character death, right?
Yeah.
Because up until then, it was like it was all pranks by Josh, or it was all like Josh messing with the rest of the friends. And then that was the first one that was the first confirmed real death where you're like, oh my God, this guy's head got ripped off. And I think I even said something like, yo, you think he's okay? You think he's all right?
Then you
Yeah.
just see the head roll.
Like
Yeah.
like undisputable death.
Yeah.
Completely
It was a
indisputable.
bummer because, and I don't know. I mean, I think Lucas and I had both gotten a little attached to that character, actually, ironically. And I remember
Yeah.
I FaceTimed Lucas the next day. And it's just like, bro, I'm still thinking about sicko mode.
Yeah.
Like, that's honestly that's one of the first times in gaming where I was just like, oh fuck, I'm really
Yeah, yeah, and it was
first
funny
time in a
too
while.
because it like wasn't a bullshit quick time event 50-50 or anything like that.
No,
It
like
was literally
there was a way to get it right, and I just like tried to get cute with it, and I fucked
yeah,
up.
yeah,
And I actually felt bad.
yeah.
Yeah,
Got cute with it. That's exactly the way I would put it for
yeah,
sure. But yeah, that's my favorite moment too. Again, because it was like the first undisputed character death where it's like, holy shit, this guy got his head ripped off. Like, there's no way he's alive right now. And it was brutal for sure.
yeah.
So I love that
Absolutely.
one. We move on to nitpicks next. I'm gonna abstain because I think I already kind of gave my big nitpick, which is just the idea that the idea that game design is tricky with story and agency and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. The only one I want to build on or mention that I already mentioned it actually was the frame rate did actually bug me a little bit because
It really did.
obviously, well, it's nothing as egregious to be clear as like Cyberpunk. Like it's very playable and it still looks great the whole time, but it was very clearly like a little choppy at certain sections, um, and that's always going to take points off for me because you should be if you design a game for a platform, it should run perfectly on that platform. And
I
we'll just leave it at that.
I'm so yep, 100% agree. Shout out
And
to
if you want
Cyberpunk.
to, well, yeah, if you want to hear us expand into that, just listen to the Cyberpunk episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have about that. But would you play other games from this developer? Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
I
for
would
sure.
I would. I know
I
you already have. I have not.
yeah. Well, have I?
Little Nightmares, I thought.
No, they didn't do the first one. They only did Little Nightmares 2 for some reason.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
So I guess House of
My
Ashes is next.
House of Ashes. I'm really interested in the Dark Meridian series or the Dark Anthology series that they have.
Hmm.
The Dark
The
Pictures
Dark Pictures
Anthology,
anthology.
Man of
Hmm.
Medan, House of Ashes, Little Hope. Those all sound really great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
if you
the
want to,
so
those would be fun.
yeah, so I mean I think that this is kind of a once a year type of game to pick up. Like if me and Katie are bored one night, want to kind of play through something, House of Ashes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
If Katie
I
doesn't
will
get too
say
scared.
some of my favorite gaming memories have been just when I've been playing like these kind of games with my friends. Like I had a group of college. Shout outs Jill, shout outs Nicole, and that whole crew. Like we would just hang out. Shout outs Taylor. I had
Yeah,
fun in college.
lot of shout outs, man.
Yeah.
Lot of people.
We'd all just like hang out and like play these kind of games together and like switch off. Like we would do Oxenfree, Telltale, like a whole bunch of other different ones too. So shout out to that crew and really fun way to play games. And if you do have a significant other that's not that into video games, I think games like this of this genre, not even the horror genre, but like say Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, Oxenfree, any of the Telltale games, I think those are really great entry points into get introduce someone into games if that's your interest.
Totally,
Because
totally.
they're
I mean,
very friendly. They're not that difficult, barring some of the quick time events here. And there's no like typically no like super hard reaction events or anything like that.
totally. What's funny is I was having this thought to myself the other day because we're playing through Control, like we said, and I think Control has an incredible story so far. Like I love the world building. I love the setting of it. I think it's so like it's just interesting. It's just really cool, right? But that world building is trapped in a game that people will never that most audiences, most people period will never really be able to get through, right? So I think Control, the world, like it would be a really great television show and my mom would love it because my mom loves like government conspiracies and like paranormal activity and telekinetic powers and stuff, but she'll never play Control. It's not I wouldn't even be able to play Control with her, right? But if you had a sick story that was packaged in an interactive story game like House of Ashes or Until Dawn or Oxenfree, it kind of allows you and your friends to feel the same way as watching a TV show would feel like, but you're playing a video game at the same time. And
Yeah.
video games, they can have some really interesting worlds. They can have some really great stories, and it sucks that there's going to be some stories out there. Think of like Eternal Darkness in our last episode. Great story, but it's trapped on a video game, right?
It is. Yeah.
And we talked about how it would make a really sick TV show. But Until Dawn and other games like this, I do give them so much credit because they allow us to, interact with non-gamers or experiencing those stories with non-gamers that most games we would never be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Final conclusive thoughts. This gets a big Segoy of approval from me. It's a big yeah from me. Um, I enjoyed this game a lot, and I look forward to playing the other things that they do, and I hope they continue to make games in this space and in this genre.
Yep, I enjoyed this game a lot. I'm not quite sure it gets my seal of approval for sure. I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed it if I played it alone as much as our playthrough was just really fun. Especially just getting, drunk and playing this game was really fun for sure. Like that first night was great.
Yeah.
We were just screaming because there's a lot of scares. We haven't
Yeah.
even talked about that, but there's just
We
a lot of really innocent jump scares that are great.
we played this on a Thursday night the first time together, or a Wednesday night, I want to say, and
Oh yeah, that
and
sounds-
so it was the first times in a while I woke up hung up over for work the next day.
Yeah, man,
I
yeah.
remember I went to bed. I'll be honest, everyone. Matt Rocky, we drank a little responsibly that night. We were having fun. The honey whiskey was on tap. I,
I think we killed like 70% of that bottle.
it was an unopened fifth, and we killed most of it. And I just remember I was trying to go to bed, and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm spinning."
Yeah. And just to be clear, Matt drank more than me.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Hey,
I was fighting demons. That
yeah,
night, brother.
you were. That was fun. All right. I mean, my final conclusive thoughts of the game are kind of what I said. I think it's a really fun game to play with. Yeah, like a group of people, a significant other. It's a very, very similar vibe to binging a TV show with
Yes.
with people. So treat it like that. You'll have a good time playing this game. Some of the quick time stuff is bullshit completely. I think we could both agree on that.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but watching people die in crazy ways is crazy. Period. So yeah, interesting game, super fun. Can't wait to play more supermassive games in the future.
Yes.
And now it is time for our rating. So this is where, for those of you that haven't heard the podcast before, this is where me and Matt both give this a rating out of 10. We combine those scores and give it a score out of 20. That becomes the final rating, usurping everything, including Metacritic somehow. All right, Matt, give your rating out of 10. 3, 2, 1. 7.
8.
Okay. That gives this a 15 out of 20. I don't know how to do math, so 15 times 5. No,
15 times.
times 5. What is that? What percent is this? Oh God, just forgot how to do it. 15, 30. Well,
It's
it's
80.
75. Oh,
No.
75?
You're right.
okay, cool. This game gets a 75%, which is very close to the Metacritic rating. So, I think we're right in there. Yeah.
That puts us in what, the Kakashi Guy zone?
No, we're at a 15 out of 20, so we're in the Hinata zone.
Big Hinata fan.
Yeah, okay. That's a good zone to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Well, everyone, I think that's all we got today. If you want to hang out with your good buddy Matt, you can find me online at Twitter. Good idea, Matthew. Or you could find the podcast. Better yet, don't talk to me on my Twitter. Join the podcast Discord. You can find it on our website, thanksforplaying.live, or you can go on to either of our main social handles on Instagram and Twitter, which is at TFP Podcasts. That's TFP Podcasts with an S at the end. If you go to the link tree there, you'll find a button to join our Discord. Coming out, it's a good time. We talk about whatever, shoot the shit. It's fun. And you can get some special insights into what's coming up in the future and some little extra. You can find out what Lucas and I are always scheming about, what we're really thinking.
That's
It's
right.
a good time. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, even, I don't know, shoot us an email at thanksforplayingpod@gmail.com. Lucas, where can we find you?
You could find me on Instagram at goodidealucas. You'd probably find me more easily or DM me through Discord. Again, join the Discord. Always starting some conversations in there. Shout out to Katie, who just joined today. Always supporting the pod in any way that she can.
Love it. Thank you, Katie. All right, everyone, this has been Thanks for Playing. Catch you next time.